Right now, whether we realize it or not, we're in the middle of this quiet revolution that's totally changing how science gets done and, really, how knowledge itself is created. Today, we're going to dive into some of the big ideas from Michael Nielsen's amazing book, Reinventing Discovery, to explore what he calls networked science. And it all kicks off with a couple of unbelievable stories. So first up, picture this. There's a math problem so tough that it could make an entire career. A Fields medalist, we're talking one of the top mathematicians on the planet, decides to try something, well, kind of crazy. Instead of holing up at his office, he posts the problem on his blog and just invites anyone, literally anyone, to help him solve it. Okay, now for the second one. Imagine the world's chess champion, Garry Kasparov, at the absolute height of his game, agreeing to a match. And who's his opponent? The entire world. Over 50,000 people, most of them just amateurs, all working together online to figure out each move against the best player who ever lived. Now, you might be thinking these just sound like cool one-off internet stunts, but there's so much more than that. They are these powerful sneak peeks into a huge, fundamental shift in how we solve problems and make big discoveries. All right, let's really get into this. So, how on earth did these massive, sprawling collaborations actually pull off things that seem completely impossible? Well, it all comes down to a brand new way of organizing our collective brain power. And you really can't overstate the difference here. I mean, listen to this quote from Tim Gowers, the mathematician who started that whole open blog experiment. He's not just saying this new way is a little bit better. He's saying the difference in speed and power is like the difference between driving a car and trying to push that same car down the road all by yourself. It's a total game changer. So, that experiment was called the Polymath Project. And get this, in just 37 days, this random group of 27 people, professionals, a high school teacher, you name it, they posted over 800 comments. Ideas were flying, getting refined, getting shot down at incredible speed. And in the end, they didn't just solve the problem he posted, they solved a more general, way harder version of it. Unbelievable. And then there was that chess match. I mean, look at this matchup. On one side, you have Garry Kasparov, the GOAT. On the other side, you have the World Team, this decentralized mob of over 50,000 people from 75 countries, all voting on the next move. It sounds like a total mismatch, right? Yeah, but not in the way you'd think. The World Team, this mix of amateurs and a few experts, played chess like a collective genius. The game went on for 62 moves, and Kasparov himself later called it, and I quote, the greatest game in the history of chess. He even admitted he poured more effort into that single game than into any world championship match he'd ever played. Which, of course, brings us to the one giant question that's probably on your mind. How is any of this possible? How can a messy, online crowd of people perform at the same level as a singular genius? The answer, it turns out, lies in changing the rules of science itself. This is what we're talking about when we say networked science. And it's not just a small tweak. It's a shift that's as profound as the invention of the scientific method was centuries ago. You can think of it like this. Way back in the 17th century, we figured out the scientific method, a system for discovery. Then, in the 20th century, we built these huge institutions, universities and labs, to scale up that process. Now, here in the 21st, we're using online tools to plug all those minds together, creating this kind of supercharged, amplified collective intelligence. Okay, so let's pop the hood and really look at the engine behind this whole revolution. What are the key ingredients that make this collective intelligence thing work so incredibly well? The first big idea is something called latent micro-expertise. Now, that sounds a little academic, right? But the concept is actually super simple. It's the idea that hidden within any big group of people is a staggering amount of very specific niche knowledge. Somewhere out there is a person who knows the exact obscure thing you need to solve your problem. The real challenge is just finding them. And this is not some new internet age thing. Back in 1912, Albert Einstein himself was totally stuck while developing his theory of general relativity. He knew he needed some kind of newfangled geometry, but he just didn't have the math chops. He was so desperate, he went to his friend, a mathematician named Marcel Grossman, and basically said, "You have to help me or I'm going to lose my mind." And Grossman instantly knew the answer. He said Einstein needed something called Riemannian geometry, and that one connection, boom, unlocked one of the greatest scientific breakthroughs in history. So what these online platforms do is take that lucky 1 in a million chance encounter that Einstein had, and they turn it into a system. They create what you could call design serendipity. It's about making those lucky breakthroughs happen on purpose, routinely, instead of just hoping you bump into the right person at the right time. But, finding the right person is only half the battle. To make this work for thousands of people at once, you need a blueprint. How do you structure a problem so that a giant group can attack it without everything just descending into total chaos? Well, the secret ingredient, the real magic here, is a concept called modularity. It's simply the idea of taking a huge, complicated problem and breaking it down into tiny, independent, bite-sized chunks. This is so crucial because it means someone can contribute to one little piece without having to understand the entire complex system. It lets tons of people work at the same time, in parallel. And this right here illustrates the point perfectly. On the left, you see attempts to write a novel by a committee, like the Million Penguins Project. They almost always fail, because a good story isn't modular. Every part connects to every other part. The result is just a mess. But on the right, you have something like the Open Architecture Network, where architects share reusable modular building designs. And it works beautifully, because one person can design a great window system, another can design a roof, and they can all be put together. Okay, so if this new way of doing things is so incredibly powerful, you have to be asking, why isn't everyone doing it? Well, like any revolution, this one is facing some serious resistance, mostly from the culture and the old institutions of science. And here's the heart of the problem. In academia, the currency that matters, the thing that gets you a job, gets you tenure, gets you grant money, is publishing papers. But sharing your raw data, or the code you wrote, the very things that would fuel all this amazing online collaboration, historically, you get little to no credit for that. In fact, it can sometimes even hurt you if someone else uses your data and publishes before you do. This whole situation has led to some massive fights. Take genetic data. For years, scientists just hoarded it. It took this landmark meeting in 1996, the Bermuda Agreement, to basically force everyone working on the human genome to share their data immediately. And the result was an absolute triumph for science. But the sad part of that story is that for lots of other important things, like the flu virus, that data is still often kept secret, slowing down vital research, all because the incentives just aren't aligned. So this all brings us to the choice that's right in front of us today. We are at a historic turning point with this incredible chance to fundamentally speed up the pace of discovery itself. And let's be really clear, the stakes here could not be higher. This isn't just some abstract academic debate. Making science better and faster means accelerating everything. It means getting to cures for diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's quicker. It means finding real, workable solutions for climate change. It means unlocking the deepest secrets of the universe and making discoveries we can't even imagine yet. The amazing thing is, the tools to do all this aren't science fiction. They are here, right now. The technology exists. The potential is absolutely undeniable. The only real question left is a human one. Are our institutions, and are we as people, brave enough to actually use them?